talk about different ways to measure angles. So far in your mathematics career, you've really only used degrees. Today, I am going to introduce you to radians. Degrees are still good. We're still going to use them, but pre-calculus really focuses on radians. So where we're going to start is converting back and forth between the two. So if we're going from degree to radian, we're going to multiply by pi over 180. If we're going from radian to degree, we are going to multiply by 180 over pi. Let's get started. So in my first set of examples, I want us to go from degrees to radians. So we're going to be multiplying by pi over 180. So we're going to start with 270 degrees. So let's multiply that by pi over 180. So when you go to do this, just for note's sake, I'm going to write it as one fraction. So when I write it as a one fraction, that's going to give me 270 pi over 180. Leave the pi alone. Now let's simplify 270 over 180. There's a multitude of ways you can do that. I like using my calculator. It's going to end up giving you 3 pi over 2. Let's try again. This time, let's look at the measurement of 30 degrees. Our procedure is going to be the same. We're going to take 30 degrees, multiply it by pi over 180. For notes purposes, I'm going to put it into one fraction, but you could potentially skip that step. Because once we get it into one fraction, we need to simplify 30 over 180, which gives me 1 over 6. The 1 is unnecessary, it's understood. So I have pi over 6. One more unit. This time, we're going to consider 24 degrees. Same procedure, multiply over pi over 180. I like to put it in one fraction, so that gives me 24 pi over 180. Then simplify 24 over 180, which gives me 2 pi over 15. So that's going from degrees to radians. Now we need to flip it. Now we're going to go from radians to degrees. The biggest thing that you need to be catching is making sure that radians have pi in their answer and degrees do not. So if you want pi's to cancel, you need a pi on the numerator and the denominator. So that's what I think through when I am considering which fraction am I supposed to multiply by. So I have 1.25 pi. I need to multiply that by 180 over pi's. So my pi's will cancel. That is a goal 95% of the time. So I'm just going to do 1.25 times 180. When you do that, you should get 225 degrees. Let's try again. This next problem, of course, I'm going to mix things up at you right at the gate, and I'm just going to multiply by 5. So I'm going to multiply that again by 180 over pi. So this time, my pi's don't cancel. So I'm going to do 5 times 180 and divide that by pi. When I do this one, decimals are okay in this section. You're going to get 286.49 degrees, okay? There are other ways that you can multiply and divide, but because of order of operations, order is kind of mushy and you'll still be okay. So this time we've got 7 pi over 4. Same procedure, multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel, so I'm going to multiply 7 times 180, divide that bad boy by 4, and I get 315 degrees. So that's going back and forth between radians and degrees. Now we need to talk about a different unit of measure. It's called degrees, minutes, segments. We use this a lot of times when we're talking about location on a map, either aerial or potentially on a boat. The way that I like to consider it is when you're breaking down units of measurements like kilometers and meters and centimeters. So it's really just being way more specific. This usually just pays more attention to latitude and longitude lines. So when we go, our first set of examples is we're going to go to degrees, minutes, segments. So we're going to start off with 30.5 degrees. We are going to leave the 30 alone. And the biggest unit of measure that you need to remember is 60. There's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in a degree. So we're going to leave the 30 alone, and we're going to take that 0.5 and multiply it by 60. When I do that, I'm going to get 30. That's my minutes. So then I just take those two pieces and put them together. So 30.5 degrees translates to 30 degrees, 30 minutes. Let's try that again. Number 2, let's look Oh, before we go to number 2, absolutely no decimals. I know that hurts some of your hearts, but we've got to get out of this habit of decimals. To be honest with you guys, fractions in this unit, or really in this whole course, are going to help you. Now let's go back to number 2. Number 2, we're going to have 120.25 degrees. Same as we did before, we're going to leave that 120, and we're going to multiply 0.25 by 60. When I do that, that gives me 15. Now I take the 2 units, put them together. 120 degrees, 15 minutes. Let's try one more time, and I'm going to complicate things. This time we're going to have 92.6532. So we have a much longer decimal. Same process, leave the 92 alone. That's going to be your degree measure. Now I'm going to take the 0.6532 and multiply that by 60. When I do that, I am going to get 39.192. Now this time I'm going to leave the 39. The 39 is my measure of minute. But now, since I have a decimal, I need to figure out a measure of second. So I'm going to take the 0.92 and multiply that one by 60 as well. So when I take the 0.92 and multiply it by 60, I'm going to get 11.52. Now, even though this is another decimal, seconds is as small as we get. So we need to take the 11.52 and round it. This time it would round up to 12. So we're going to take all of those pieces to make it one unit. 92 degrees, 39 minutes, 12 seconds. All right, now we're going to make it super fun, and we're going to go backwards. This time, I'm going to give you degrees, minutes, seconds, and you're going to have to tell me degrees. This time, your answer is going to be in a decimal. So one of the challenging parts of this course is remembering what's okay as a decimal and what needs to be a fraction. So the first problem we are going to consider, 12 degrees, 20 minutes, 30 seconds. Now there's several different ways that you can do this. Here's how I like to do it. I like to start with seconds. Let's divide that by 60. When I do that, I get 0.5. Then I'm going to drop down the 20. So it gives me 20.5. Divided by 60 again. When you do that, it's going to give you 0.34. For the final piece, we're going to drop down the degrees, and really you get 0.3416, but I'm just going to tell you to give me 2 decimal places. Drop down the 12, and your final answer will be 12.34 degrees. So with all of these, you're either dividing by 60 or multiplying by 60. You just have to remember when you do what. So example 2, 94 degrees, 40 minutes. Start by dividing by 60. When I divide this one by 60, I get 0.67. Drop the 94 degrees down, then that's your final answer, 94.67. Done. And of course, now I'm going to end it with a bang, and I'm going to end it with the hardest one yet. We're going to have 321 degrees, 39 minutes, and 23 seconds. So we're going to start from the back and work our way up. So start by dividing 23 by 60. When you do that, you are going to get 0.38. Then drop the 39. Then take 39.38 and divide that by 60. This time you're going to get 0.66. Drop down your degree, 321. There's your final answer, 321 degrees, 0.66. Great job. If you have questions, come see me tomorrow.